right hand is a position of respect. The Quran says that he will be in the company of those nearest to God, not physically, not geographically, spiritually. And he will speak to the people. Fil mahdi wa kahlan, in childhood and in maturity. Wa minas salihin, and he shall be of the company of the righteous. This is a prophecy. The good news is being given that your child, as an infant, he will speak. And as a grown-up, normally, naturally. But as an infant, in childhood, he will be gifted. And we find the fulfillment of this prophecy within months of this good enunciation was being made to her. Within months. And we find this in the Holy Quran, in a chapter called Surah Maryam, meaning chapter Mary. This chapter 19 is named in honor of the mother of Jesus Christ. Surah Maryam, chapter Mary. You know, in this whole vast volume, there is no chapter in the name of Muhammad's mother, or his wife, or his daughter. Can you imagine? But the chapter 19 is in honor of the name of the mother of Jesus. Surah Maryam, chapter 19. It tells us, verse 27, I'm starting, that after the birth of the child, these circumstances being peculiar, she had retired to a remote place in the east. There is no Joseph the carpenter in the Quran. You know Joseph the carpenter? There's no mention about Joseph the carpenter here. This is a miraculous birth, and it speaks about it miraculously. There is no genealogy of Jesus, like we find in the New Testament, in the Gospel of St. Matthew and the Gospel of St. Luke. Between the two, they give this man, mighty messenger of God, 66 fathers and grandfathers. 66. A child that was born miraculously, they go out of the way to give him a genealogy. The Quran does not speak about any genealogy. It does not mention Joseph the carpenter or any other carpenter. So the circumstances of the conception being peculiar was immaculate. She retired to a remote place in the east, says the Quran, and after the birth of the child, she returns. Shamelessly, of course, carrying the little child infant in her arms. فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُهُ. So at length, she brought the babe to her people, carrying him in her arms. قَالُوا, they said, Ya Maryamu, O Mary, لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. So truly an amazing thing has thou brought. They are shocked, knowing full well that she was not married. Where did you bring this child from? The insinuating illegitimate child. Where did you get this child from? Shamelessly parading in the village. Ya ukhta Haruna, so O sister of Harun, coming such a noble ancestry of the children of Aaron, the brother of Moses, the Levites, the priestly class among the Jews. You come from such a priestly and noble family. Ya ukhta Haruna, ma kana abuki imra'a saw'in wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya. So your father was not a man of evil, nor thy mother a woman unchaste. Insinuating, where did you bring this illegitimate child from? What is she to do? Would they listen to her explanation? Would you listen to your daughter's explanation? If she tells you, says, Daddy, you know, I heard some voices and now this child is born, you'll believe her. Would you? They were in no mood to listen to such stories. What was she to do? She merely pointed to the babe. فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ, says the Quran. She merely pointed to the child and says, ask him. She knew that this was no ordinary child. Ask him. So they say, قَالُوا كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ سَبِيًّا. They say, how can we talk to one who's a child in the cradle, a baby, an infant? How can we talk to him? And by a miracle, He spoke from his mother's arms and defended his mother against an unbelieving audience. He says, Qala inni Abdullah. So most certainly I am the servant of Allah. Atani al-kitab. He has given me revelation. Waja'alani nabiyya. And he has made me a prophet. Waja'alani mubarakan aynama kuntu. Wa'usani bis-salati waz-zakati ma dumtu hayya. Wa barran bi-walidati. Wa lam yaj'alni jabbaran shaqiyya. He said, I am indeed a servant of God. He had given me revelation and made me a prophet. And he had made me blessed wheresoever I be. And he hath enjoined on me prayer and charity as long as I live. And he has made me kind to my mother and not overbearing or miserable. He has made me kind to my mother and not overbearing or miserable. This is the first miracle that Jesus Christ performed according to this holy book of Islam. He defended his mother against an unbelieving audience as an infant from his mother's arms. I want you to compare this first miracle of Jesus with the first miracle that Jesus Christ performed according to the Holy Bible. You know what miracle he performed? It was at the marriage feast at Cana. You read in the Gospel of St. John that Jesus and his disciples had gone there and they ran short of wine. So his mother comes to him, he says, my son, knowing that he's got that mysterious powers. God had given him powers, spiritual powers, that he can perform miracles. So she comes to him, he says, my child, these people have run short of wine. Help them, do something for them. So Jesus responds, he says, woman, what have I to do with thee? My time is not yet. But persuaded, he turns water into wine. And since then, wine has flowed like water in Christendom. Last year, our beautiful country, our good people, spent 2,000 million rand on alcohol. Last year, our good people spent 2,000 million rand on gambling. And yet, you see on TV again and again, some program or the other about spastics, about the cripples, about the blind. They haven't got enough money. We haven't got enough money. The government hasn't got enough money. 2,000 million was squandered on alcohol alone last year in our country. The first miracle in the Quran, he defends his mother as an infant. The first miracle in the Bible, he turns water into wine. Going back to the Annunciation, we had reached verse 45, 46, verse 47. When this good news was given to Mary about the birth of a holy son, she says, قالت ربي أن يكون لي ولد ولم يمسسني بشر. She says, oh my Lord, how shall I have a son when no man has touched me? So the angel says in reply, قال كذلك الله يخلق ما يشاء. So even so, Allah creates what He wills. وإذا قضى أمرا, whenever He decrees a matter, فإنما يقول له كن فيكون. So whenever He decrees a matter, He merely says to it, be, and it is. This is the Muslim concept of the birth of Jesus. For God to create a Jesus without a human father, He merely wills it and the thing comes into being. If He wants to create 1,000,000 Jesuses without father, without mother, He merely has to will them into being. This is what we believe about the omnipotence of God in Islam. I had the occasion of sharing this with the Reverend, the head of the Bible Society in Johannesburg. I had gone to Johannesburg on one of my usual trips, and I went to the Bible house. I was interested in an Indonesian Bible. I have reason for that. So I went and got one there. The Durban Bible house didn't have it, so I go to Johannesburg and I found the Bible in the Indonesian language. And while browsing through the quite a large volume, larger than this, a large volume, New Testament, Greek and English, side by side. Greek and English. So while handling that, I didn't know that I was being observed. The head of the Bible Society walks up to me, seeing my funny headgear and my beard. He was attracted, or he felt that it was a challenge in the Bible house. So he comes up to me